I think it was so correctly said, is like a puzzle without an answer.
The game of golf has fascinated all who've come into contact with it right from its earliest origins, that fascination being fanned by man's continuing inability to master it. As the game has spread from a simple leisure pursuit to the global addiction it is today, he's sought to harness and control it, but as ever, domination remains agonizingly elusive. At the heart of this endeavor lies the search for perfection. Only by seeking to hit the ball better, to hit it further, straighter, and above all more consistently, can he hope to make progress towards the pinnacle of this most awkward and exasperating of sports. And only the most gifted and dedicated can get anywhere close. With this in mind, golfers the world over continue to commit ever greater quantities of time, money, sweat and tears in pursuit of that elusive perfection. Many finding as soon as they take 3 steps forward, the game throws up ways of pushing them a couple back. No stone is left unturned in the ongoing desire to hit every fairway and every green every time the game is played. That moment isn't here, and in all probability never will be, but that won't stop man trying. Golf has been an ever-changing patchwork quilt of great players, great courses, and marvelous sporting moments, most of which are forever etched on the consciousness of those who follow it. But at the heart of all that has happened lies the swing itself, and like the game, it too has evolved down the years. So just what is a golf swing?
It's a combination of geometry, physics, kinesiology, and art, I would say, and you get those 4 together in some formal order, and you can call that the golf swing.
The perception of the golf swing has become that it's very, very technical. And my God, it's just a club behind a ball that you're holding on to. You take it back here somewhere, you bring it back down, you hit that thing that's laying there, not moving, and then you follow through someplace over here. And it really isn't that complicated of a deal.
There are 3 principles that I think all of us as golfers, swing doctors, good players, average players are attempting to do. They're trying to maximize distance. They're trying to maximize their accuracy factor. And they're trying to maximize the repeatability of optimizing both.
Everybody's golf swing is different. I think if you look at the best players in the world, you see different swings. I think the best way for me to characterize it is that from about a waist-high position coming down through the ball and a waist-high position coming out, all the good players are in the same position. The secret to playing consistent golf is always knowing where the club face is, and then you can always let the club get back somehow square to the ball.
So there are as many different ways of describing it as there are to do it. But at the heart of every golf swing lie the basic elements that are common to all, whether that swing be good or bad. And it's only by attending to those elements, singly or together, can man hope to progress.
To my way of thinking, it's grip, hand action, arm action. That's one component. Your ability to turn your torso around your spine angle properly, that's one component. Your feet and legs, that's a third component. And then the sequential rhythmical motion, which is kind of the oil that lets the engine run. And it's that which lets you shift gears properly. It is the final component that takes advantage of having the 3 parts.
Well, first, you must learn the fundamentals first, starting with the grip. It's most essential to have a good golf grip. You're as good as your golf grip. That's what it really amounts to. And if a person has a lot of talent, has got patience and time to develop it, well, then he's going to be hard to beat.
Walter Hagen was one of the very first players to capture a wider public imagination outside the somewhat narrow elitist world of American golf in the 1920s. At no point could Hagen have ever been considered a classic swinger of the club. It was his personality that was his greatest asset. That, and a personal lifestyle that between them gave him the confidence first to intimidate and ultimately beat players who undoubtedly were technically his superior. Broadly speaking, Hagen had far too many moving parts. From a stance too wide, he lurched and lunged at the ball, careless of where it might go, and confident he possessed the skills necessary to extract it from wherever it might come to rest. Apart from his abundant self-belief, his greatest golfing asset was a great pair of hands. These enabled him to square the club face to the line of flight, at least more often than not, and of course his handsy roundhouse style worked well with the talk and play in clubs of the Hickory era. At the root of his confidence was a short game he knew would rescue him from errant play along the way. Thus his progress round every course was both highly entertaining and extremely effective. As Hagen so aptly demonstrated, there's never been one correct way to swing that all must adhere to. Not surprising when we're all built so differently. Of course, the basic elements must all be right, but the golf swing has to fit the shape and size of the individual.
You see different body types. People are tall, short. Some people are more flexible than the others. So they make different turns in their shoulders, different turns in their hips. So I don't think you can characterize one swing for everybody.
Today's stars, of course, grew up in an era when there was already plenty of information available on the do's and don'ts of swinging a golf club. Even so, all great players still have their own idiosyncrasies of swing and tempo. Take, for example, Faldo, Price and Norman.
Actually, I think you see three completely different golf swings. You see a Nick Faldo who swings very much by the numbers. He's very methodical in the way he swings. He's very position orientated, keeping the club what he feels in the right position each time. I mean, he lives his life that way. He's very calculated in how he does stuff, and that's how he plays golf. You have Nicky Price, who is actually coached by the same person, David Ledbetter, who has a completely different swing. Nicky Price, in my opinion, has the fastest of the three swings, so he does it by trying to control the speed of his swing. But I think the mechanics of it are similar. Then you take Greg Norman, who is more of an adventurous type player, as I would say. He likes to take some gambles every now and then. He likes to drive the fast cars and dive in the ocean with all the fish and stuff, and he plays golf that way. So I think what you see is a product of a man's personality.
So a player's personality is certainly reflected in the way he swings, but perhaps the one fundamental characteristic that most dictates the path and plane of a golfer's swing is his height.
The golf swing has changed in response to evolving anatomies. Golfers today, on the average, are about 4 to 6 inches larger, taller, and stronger than they were 30 years ago. If you look at players today like Steve Elkington and Greg Norman and Davis Love, all around 6'2", 6'3", compared to Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus, who were 5'7" and 5'9", respectively, Tom Watson 5'9", Tom Kite 5'9", you can see just in that peer group alone, you've got anatomical differences. Those anatomical differences result in differences in terms of their golf swing, their angle of attack, and then the resulting golf shot that those golfers may produce.
Well, I think a real tall person has a harder time than a shorter person, only because the arc of their swing is so big and so long that there's more time for something to go wrong.
The secret to my swing is obviously the power, but control on the power. And if my feet and legs move around too much, that lets my hands be too active, and I get too much flash speed. So what I'm trying to do is keep still as I can with my lower body and make sure I make a nice big turn, keep my hands out of it. So it's rhythm and pace and keeping everything under control. When I get the club behind the ball, I'm trying to copy the practice swing I just made. I feel like that when you make a practice swing, it should be a rehearsal for what you're getting ready to do. So once I stand up to the ball, I'm just going to stand up and copy my practice swing as close as possible.
I used to think, though, that a long time ago when I was playing, they said if a man is tall, he couldn't play well because his center of gravity and the balance was too far. But we have players out there that are over 6 feet tall that are playing wonderfully well, and we have little people like Jeff Sluman, who's a beautiful player, and Corey Pavin.
Corey Pavin is the one that comes to mind in the United States more than anybody. Corey is a slightly built gentleman, and he moves his ball around on every shot. He tries to hit the proper shot for each shot. He doesn't really try and just carry it in there and stop it. And he has a great imagination.
Kick left. Kick left. Left.
Well, I do like to shape the shot a lot and hit it high and low and do different things with the ball. That's what makes it a lot of fun for me to play. And I do most of that just by my setup. I set up differently for the draws and for the fades. You know, I'll just aim a little bit right and close the club face a little bit to draw it, and vice versa for a fade. But I enjoy that aspect of the game. You know, I'd be kind of bored, I think, if I just tried to hit one shot all the time. It's fun to be able to hit the different types of shots. I think the main things I work on are my setup, make sure I'm set up correctly. And after that, I just make sure that I'm not over-swinging and work on my rhythm and just basic stuff. Make sure I'm in certain basic positions and not getting too far off of those. I don't try to work on anything extra. You know, basics to me are rhythm and timing. Making sure that the club from parallel to the ground on my backswing to parallel on my follow through is pretty much a mirror image of each other. That's probably the most important part of my swing, I'd say.
Bobby Jones was the complete antithesis of Walter Hagen, and together they were to dominate golf throughout the 1920s. Whereas Hagen was the slugger, Jones was a consummate artist. And of course, he was the amateur gentleman to Hagen's professional player. Although of stocky build, Jones possessed a long, loose, flowing swing. The hands led the club away, the club head slowly but elegantly catching up, until a very full body turn had the shaft well past the horizontal and pointing well to the right of the target. From the top, there was a slight rerouting of the club to a more outside plane, though still coming into the ball from inside the intended line of flight. From there, it was all one continuous flowing motion, all swing, no hit. Jones' greatest strengths were with the wooden clubs and long irons, shorter clubs requiring more punch than he was inclined to give. But one could never even hint that there might be a weakness in any part of his game. And at the end, there was that lovely putting touch to round the whole thing off, Calamity Jane rolling the ball right to the hole side, and, as is only the case with the truly great, into it at the most critical moments. Of course, behind Jones, as was the case with Hagen, lay the sublime belief that he was the very best, that there was no golfer on earth who could possibly beat him on his day. And even though there are more great players around today, all who've reached the very top are blessed with that same self-belief. The basis for that belief is strength of mind, a characteristic that is as essential to a golfer's makeup as a sound swing and a sure putting touch.
Golf, 90% mental, 10% physical. It depends on the level of performance that we're talking about. Certainly for the beginner, the game is at least 90% physical and 10% mental. I mean, you have to develop your skills. As your skills develop, they become slightly less important. And as your level of competition increases and the quality of tournaments that you enter increases, then now we're talking about your ability to control your mind and to have your mind and your body perform as one.
I think it's a whole lot. I think it's more, they say that it's a 90% mental and 10% mechanical. I don't agree with that. And the reason I don't is that the only way that you could be a winner is you have to have confidence in what you're doing. You have to be comfortable and feel good with what you're doing, besides putting forth the extra effort it takes to win.
Everybody always has these percentages, but the reality is the percentages are in a constant state of flux. There are times when a golfer's golf swing is in perfect tune. At that point, the game is essentially 100% mental for him. He has to not get in his own way, and he has to just allow it to happen. There are other times when that same exact golfer, 4 weeks later in a similar tournament, his golf swing is so pathetic that the game is virtually 100% physical for him. He knows that if he doesn't get this shaft plane over here, he has no chance of finding his golf ball, and so his focus is 100% physical and 0% mental.
Of almost equal importance as mental strength is rhythm. A golf swing without rhythm is like a ship without a rudder. And above all, it must have a repeating rhythm, one that never varies, whether it be on the practice ground or the final hole of a major championship.
I don't think ever enough said about the rhythm, even though you swing fast or swing slow. When I first started working with Tom Watson, people said, if you ever make him slow down, he'd be a good player. Well, I didn't make him slow down because that's his rhythm. And you take Nick Price and you take Faldo. Faldo's slower, you know, and another one that was fast was Seve Ballesteros. So it's owing to the rhythms out there that you, and if you try to go against that, you're going against your nature and you have problems.
Rhythm is that nebulous, can't see it, can't touch it, can't feel it thing that to me is crucial in a golf swing. Most people like to work on things that they can see, touch, feel, relate to. You know, the club face is closed, the grip is weak, the shoulders are flat, whatever the case may be. But it is that ability to put your golf swing sequentially in the proper order that is so critical to consistency. And that's where rhythm is important.
I think it's rhythm. You know, I've always worked on my rhythm. That's, I think I follow a lot of golf swings from early 30s and all that, and you know, Sam Snead always worked on his rhythm, you know, and Bobby Jones always said the same. And I worked my swing through there, and the rhythm is probably the key to my golf swing. Whenever I'm swinging well, it's the rhythm. I mean, you see a lot of good players, when they're swinging good, it's great rhythm, you know, they talk about the rhythm, not technique, and that's what my key is, rhythm.
Yes, a rhythm and timing is all in a golf swing. You must have both. If you don't have a good timing, it's like anything. Timing, it's like giving a person a hammer and start a nail, and if they start trying to hit it hard, they'll miss it over half the time. And if you look at the guys winning today, they all have a very smooth swing. And the guys that are really quick and jerky, they don't last too long. And if you try to hit a ball just hard as you can hit it, as a rule, you won't hit more than 1 out of 5 good ones. So you must play within yourself. 85%. Sometimes on a par 5 you can muster another 20 yards, but now if you try to do that every hole, well then you miss 2 or 3, then boy, you're in the weeds.
Well, I think my swing is simple. I think that's one of the words that come in mind when people talk about my swing. Probably the thing that I've added to my swing over the years is a lot of strength. I've done a lot of working out, and I've added a lot more power. But I think, you know, that it's important to have the club face square, you know, at the top. And I think it's important to have, you know, have the club face square at impact and move through it. I mean, mine's more of a classic swing, more like Snead or someone in that regard for the tempo and balance, I think, are the 2 things that stand out for me. But it's very simple.
The golf swing is, I think it was so correctly said, is like a puzzle without an answer. I mean, you know, to give you an example, you see Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer, now having been such great players, as they're getting older, they're trying new swings and this and that and this and that. You'd think they'd have it perfected by now.